Before you continue, pause for a moment. This message is not random. It reaches people who are quietly sensing that something in their life no longer fits. Stay until the end. What you hear may not comfort you, but it will clarify what your soul has been trying to say for a long time. There comes a moment when life stops pushing and starts pulling. Nothing collapses, nothing explodes, yet something inside you quietly detaches. What once felt natural now feels forced. Motivation fades, not because you failed, but because the direction no longer matches who you are becoming. This is not confusion. This is awareness arriving without noise, asking you to notice what you keep avoiding. Most people ignore this stage because it doesn't hurt enough yet. They call it tiredness, stress, or boredom. But beneath those words lives a deeper truth. Your inner alignment has shifted. The life you built still exists, but your soul is no longer living inside it. Continuing out of habit becomes heavier each day, even if nothing visibly changes on the outside. Life never asks for change all at once. First, it removes the feeling of meaning. Then it introduces resistance where there used to be flow. You start questioning things you once defended. People notice your distance. Projects lose color. These are not punishments. They are signals. Life speaks softly at first to see if you are willing to listen before it needs to become louder. We are taught to endure, to stay loyal to paths that no longer feel alive. We confuse persistence with wisdom. But there is a thin line between commitment and self-abandonment. When your body keeps going but your inner self withdraws, exhaustion becomes chronic. This is not strength being tested. This is honesty being delayed. Life does not reward denial, no matter how disciplined it looks. Ending a cycle feels threatening because the mind prefers known pain over unknown freedom. The familiar gives structure, even when it drains you. Letting go creates silence, and silence feels like emptiness. But emptiness is only frightening when you believe your worth comes from what you hold on to. In reality, every meaningful beginning requires a pause where nothing is defined yet. Pay attention to what is leaving without effort. The conversations that no longer flow. The goals that no longer excite you. The environments that suddenly feel tight. Life removes attachments gently before it forces detachment painfully. What fades naturally is not meant to be rescued. Trying to revive expired versions of yourself only delays the clarity that is already forming beneath the surface. You are not lost. You are between versions. This space feels unstable because identities dissolve here. Titles, roles, expectations lose authority. This is where the false self weakens and the authentic one begins to breathe. The discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is evidence that something artificial is shedding. Growth rarely feels productive while it is actually happening. Withdrawal is often misunderstood. When you feel the need for silence, solitude, or distance, people assume something is wrong. But recalibration requires less noise, not more stimulation. Your nervous system is responding to internal change. Restlessness appears when you resist listening. Peace appears when you stop arguing with what your intuition has been repeating quietly for some time now. Outer changes always follow inner decisions. If you rearrange your environment without shifting awareness, life recreates the same patterns in new forms. True direction changes happen invisibly first. They begin as permission. Permission to admit boredom, dissatisfaction, and longing without judgment. Only after that does life reorganize circumstances. Skipping this step keeps people running in emotional circles for years. Trying to resurrect what has completed its function creates unnecessary suffering. Life is evolutionary. not nostalgic. Every phase serves a purpose and then releases you. Holding on past expiration dates turns lessons into burdens. Movement does not require certainty, only sincerity. The moment you stop pretending something still fits, tension eases and the next direction begins forming quietly. Acceptance feels like relief because resistance is exhausting. The body relaxes when it no longer needs to defend a story that no longer feels true. This surrender is not weakness. It is cooperation with reality. Life responds quickly when you stop fighting its signals. Energy returns not because circumstances change immediately, but because alignment restores internal flow. Clarity rarely arrives before detachment. First, you let go of certainty, then space opens. In that space, intuition becomes audible again. Direction is not something you force. It is something you recognize. The mistake is demanding answers while refusing to release what blocks them. Life speaks clearly only after you stop interrupting it with fear-based expectations. If you are listening to this now, the request for change is not new. You have felt it in moments of quiet dissatisfaction and unexplained heaviness. Delay does not cancel transformation. It only compresses it. What you refuse consciously, life will eventually reorganize unconsciously. Awareness gives you choice. Avoidance removes it gradually until pressure replaces freedom. Emptiness is not absence. It is possibility before form. Creation does not begin with clarity. It begins with space. When you stop filling every moment with noise, the next direction does not need to shout. It arrives subtly through preference, curiosity, and resonance. Silence is not wasted time. It is where realignment completes itself naturally. You are not required to act immediately. Recognition is enough for now. Naming what feels misaligned restores integrity. Action without acknowledgement leads to repetition. Awareness without pressure allows organic movement. Life responds to honesty faster than effort. When you stop denying your inner signals, decisions simplify themselves without force or dramatic gestures. Life does not rush you, but it does apply tension when ignored too long. Signals escalate only when whispers are dismissed. This pressure is not punishment. It is guidance becoming firmer. Listening early preserves gentleness. Waiting for collapse creates drama. Directional changes are smoother when you cooperate instead of resisting until circumstances decide for you. Choosing to listen now prevents deeper exhaustion later. Every conscious ending prevents an unconscious breakdown. Closing cycles intentionally preserves dignity and energy. What you honor as complete releases you cleanly. What you cling to decays slowly. Endings acknowledged in time transform into transitions instead of crises. This is how life teaches maturity without unnecessary pain. Today may not demand movement, but it demands truth. Admit what no longer resonates. Admit what you have outgrown. This honesty reorganizes your internal compass. Direction follows acknowledgement. The moment you stop lying to yourself, the path adjusts subtly. Nothing dramatic changes outwardly, yet everything internally aligns toward what comes next. Life is asking for a new direction, not loudly, not urgently, calmly, repeatedly. You have already heard it through fatigue, distance, and silence. This moment is not random. Recognition completes the message. What you do next is less important than no longer pretending you did not receive it. Awareness is the true beginning of every transformation. If this resonated, write in the comments, "I accept the end of this cycle." Subscribe to continue this transition with clarity and grounded awareness.